Welcome to On the Move.
The Democrats and Obama have forced the Affordable Health Care Act, otherwise known as Obamacare, on the American people. They did this without a single Republican vote. They have made it so that you have to purchase a product in order to be a law-abiding citizen. They snuck so much stuff into this bill to confuse and disorient your average citizen that most people still don't know what's in its thousands of pages. And then, we have people like Nancy Pelosi who tell us stuff like this.
But we have to pass the bill so that you can find out what is in it away from the fog of the controversy.
We have to pass it to find out what's in it? That doesn't make any sense at all. This is the kind of stuff that they're doing behind our backs, and in some cases right in front of our faces. How has this not been stopped? Well, it went to the Supreme Court. Proponents of Obamacare say the Supreme Court ruled Obamacare is constitutional. And because of that, we should stop arguing and we should just give up. It's the law of the land. Well, you know what? That hasn't stopped them from fighting us on gun control for 200 years. That's been the law of the land. I mean, that's over 200 years. Well, you know what? Even with what the Supreme Court ruling that Obamacare is constitutional, I don't put too much stock into that. This is the same court that was responsible for notorious rulings in Dred Scott versus Sanford, which endorsed slavery, Plessy versus Ferguson, which ruled segregation is constitutional, and last but not least, Korematsu versus the United States, which upheld the imprisonment of Japanese Americans in concentration camps during World War II. The question of whether or not Obamacare is or is not constitutional is not what I'm trying to answer, at least not today. The fact is, before Obamacare, we had more freedom. We could choose not to have health insurance if that's what we wanted, without having to pay a tax or a penalty, depending on which way they're trying to justify it. We could pick the healthcare plan of our choosing, even if it only covered us for catastrophic events. Employers could hire as many employees as they wanted without fear of being mandated to cover the health care of those employees unless they chose to and could afford to. They didn't have to fear paying a tax when they could not afford to pay for the health care of their employees. Why in the world would we tax someone who already doesn't have the money to pay for something? Employers had more freedom over how many people could work for them and how many hours those people could work. Obamacare is not only taking away choices of how we live our lives, but it's also the biggest killer of jobs in America. I could go on for hours about Obamacare, but that's not what this show is about. I just thought I'd touch on it. Okay, so on the last...